Hi, welcome to Self-Discovery Support. This reading will focus on current energies and issues you're facing, and then gain some insight on what steps can be taken to create change for better in this area. The reading is a pick a card, so feel free to select either group A or B or both. There's an animal energy card for each group as well, so you can choose by the animal you feel intuitively drawn to. Today we have a cat and the hound, and so check the description box for time codes and additional info. And as a notice for you, I use decks which sometimes contain adult imagery to help me pick up diverse messages, so only view if you are 18 plus. Today's theme card is the Magician, which looks like this, if you've ever seen it before or not. And this card's themes are manifesting, pulling into creation what you desire, and also knowing that you have all the capabilities to do this. So, alright, I am gonna see you in your reading, but I'll give you a short bit to decide which card is yours, and I'll see you there. Alright, group A. So we have for you the Ten of Cups, the Star, and the Knight of Swords. Let's go back to your energy. So we have the cat and lavender, and this talks about independence. Now, I'm feeling like you're in this energy. It describes somebody who is particularly free of I would say like encumbrances and attachments, or somebody that views themselves as really charting their own course. Maybe you've been self-reliant, and maybe you've had to be self-reliant, and maybe you do view yourself independently of connections. Maybe you don't want to be tethered to it. Maybe there's a kind of fear about these types of things, but also I'm seeing that if you look at that in terms of our themed card or guidance card for today, the Magician, there is a sense that this is about like what you're wanting to bring in. And the cat is particularly not connected, or doesn't see themselves as being tied down by the commitments and attachments in their lives, even though they require it, they desire it. If you've ever had a cat, you know, they're particularly ready to tell you and show you that they don't need you, but you know, their actions say otherwise. We have the Six of Cups in your hidden energy. So immediately there's a sense of, okay, this is about something to do with a past situation. This is about something that, with the Five of Cups, there's a sense of a kind of struggle in this past connection. There's, with this cat, it's like someone who would never admit that they want or require connection. Now, if you chose the cat energy, now feel free if you feel like this is you, or this is somebody that you're connected to that's coming up here, then you use your discernment to kind of pick out which one it is. But this cat is, I just look at the face of this cat, it's like kind of obstinate, right? I want the connection, but maybe there's some things that you're not budging on, like certain, you know how we talk about this cat card has independence, but we all know now through a lot of information that's come through in recent years, put out by clinicians and therapists, that interdependence is actually what is the desired goal in relationships, not codependence, which I think is something that the cat kind of strays from. The cat fears, in a sense, being trapped, being held back, whereas the good balance is being independent in your own self, feeling free and freedom, but also valuing the connection to the point where it is also an important thing in your life, and the person that you're connected to knows that, because you're doing things to nurture that. All right, so that's what we have with the cat. Now let's see. I think the situation here is, there's a sense that there's something that you can have, or you have access to, that would actually make you really happy. I think it's this person that you're connecting to, that with the star energy, it's like if you could heal this connection, if you could bring something about, I think you actually desire this. So it's like knowing that there's a desire, knowing that this desire could make you happy, and is also like recognizing that. The Knight of Swords in the last bit here talks about going directly to something, swiftly making some actions. Now, so it feels like if you're this person who maybe you've been on your own for a lot of your life, it's like coming into a place where you're acknowledging that there is a connection that actually is something that you actually want. So then you have to actually state that, and you have to actually put your hand out there and say, I would like this, to connect to this person. Knight of Swords, and it's like doing communication. It's like now is the time to communicate, and you might be facing that kind of situation, or it feels like a complexity, like a problem in a way. Not that it's difficult, because I don't sense that you're the type of person that doesn't get what they want. I sense that you do know how to, once you've made up your mind, go for what it is that you want. But there can be a little bit of like stubbornness, or like, holding your own territory or ground. So, all right, so you're in a position where you know that there's something that makes you happy, and it's like wanting to express this thing, to bring it into your field of being. What are some of the things here that we can do to move to a better, a change for better in this situation? Tell us what we can do here. Tell us. Oh, okay. All right, we got 4 cards coming out. There's a lot of advice for you here in this one. Okay, we've got the Queen of Swords, we've got the 2 of Swords, 2 of Wands, and the Knight of Wands here. So I'll just hold this off camera, but let's see. All right, there's a lot here about expressing. There's a lot here. Okay, this is very clear advice. Up front, we have to kind of be honest with ourselves and this other person that we're connecting to. We have to be willing to speak the truth. 111 might be a number that's important to you, and I would encourage you to look it up, because I just looked at my the time on my computer as I'm filming, and it was just 111, which is kind of unusual. But I think it's a time of bringing in your manifestations, and it's a time for really stating what you want, which is like definitely Queen of Swords energy. There's something that she needs to articulate, and I think it's like just being truthful. Two of Swords is, the rooster energy can sometimes be a little bit stubborn, obstinate, which is going back to that cat energy. There's a sense here that you would need to, the honesty that you're speaking would help you unblock and unstuck a situation. Even if it's like talking to a person and saying your truth, like, okay, I know that things have been like this, or we decided this, but this is how I actually feel. You would have a possibility to unblock this, and it's saying to you, Two of Wands, make the plans, 2 and 2 here as well. So that might be something to look at. With 2 and 2 is a number of partnership and coming together, connecting. So I do think that message is strong here in your reading for the cat group. And there's a sense that, okay, when you own up to it for yourself, because for some people, acknowledging that they actually need connection and being vulnerable is hard because of what you've experienced in your life. And I think that's why the Queen of Swords is here. The Queen of Swords is somebody who has experienced bitterness in her life. I think of the Queen of Swords as the person whose heart has been broken, and however still needs to exist. And so it's like unblocking that energy and saying, okay, for this connection, it's clear that you recognize it as special. 2 of Wands is, okay, what are some of the plans I can put in place to, with the Knight of Wands, go towards this person. It's like once you decide, tap into what your gut tells you, tap into what your heart tells you, and it's like moving into a more kind of instinctual place. So, Queen of Swords can often be in our head. And as I just said, the instinctual place, I saw that we had the High Priestess. So yeah, this is actually advice saying tap into what your intuition is telling you about what your desires are. You've acknowledged that to yourself, and you would be able to, nobody's promising that the outcome would be success. But I think the point of this reading is, in order to have or to manifest what you want in your life, you do have to first know what it is, admit it to yourself, be willing to communicate that to whoever else is involved in this situation, and then act on it. Of course, in that process, it's going to be difficult to unblock yourself, but I do think that this is the call if you are actively thinking about bringing a connection that you are invested in, you're interested in, into your life. All right, cat group, this was your reading. If you have any other notes on this, put it in the comments, and do of course like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. And I hope to see you here on another of these readings. So take care. Okay, so if you chose the Hound card, here we are. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Hound first. I think that if you are relating to this energy, you are someone that is at your heart committed to those people that you find yourself in connection with. Sometimes to a fault. Sometimes it's like staying in places or staying with people who don't always value that quality, because loyalty is a great quality. It's an amazing quality, but not everybody actually values it. Some people take it for granted, and people don't realize how rare it is, and you can actually break somebody who is loyal. However, I think there's a little bit of a shadow side to the loyal nature of this card, because if you are staying in something or staying in a connection that does not actually feed you and serve you, and actually you feel like that person or the people that we're talking about here would not be loyal in the same sense to you, then there is something that you do need to question about for yourself. Like, why are you giving value where none is seen in you or none is given to you? And it's not that relationships and connections should be transactional. Actually, there's a lot of room for just like pure goodwill kind of energy, pure love energy, where you do things for people just because. But there's also that other side, right? The Hound has to, at some point, say to himself, I think about like, how some people kick dogs. That's terrible to think about, but there's some people that, like, this dog is there with you every day and they're loyal, and when they're angry they'll kick the dog. Like, I think that's always like the most brutal thing, because here you have somebody completely dependent on you and just wants to be there with you, because there's nothing like a loyal pet, right? Especially a dog, and you're taking advantage of it because you can't control or you don't feel good enough in yourself. So anyway, that's the start of what we have here. Now, I am hoping for all of you that what we have is not gonna go too far in a direction, but this reading is meant to bring change for better. So, the Magician, the things that you're wanting to manifest, I think for this group, this is more energy of knowing what you actually want. It's like learning what you want. The cat group, that was before group A, there's a sense that they realized, but they couldn't quite, it's like there was a kind of pride, or they'd always seen themselves in a certain light, but they couldn't quite bring themselves to do something, and now it's like, okay, now you have to, because you really want this thing. I think for this group, it's like knowing that you can actually have more for yourself. Like, you could feel like in connections that you're loyal to a fault, like you give of yourself to a fault, but you don't always get with this Magician energy. And so it's like this reading is about moving you into that space. Now, it's really funny because for the last group, I looked up and I saw 111. This group, I looked up and I saw 123. So if that number resonates with you, please do look it up, what the additional message could be. I think it sometimes can talk about being timely. So it being timely for you to act. If you're having these thoughts, which is what we're seeing here, it could be time. All right, so we have the Two of Pentacles, Justice, and Five of Pentacles. All right. This is somebody who's like yo-yoing back and forth in their head. You could feel like you're not sure what to do to bring balance, or there's a lot here about an imbalance. it's like something that's on a teetering edge. So it could be this connection in terms of, I think for some of you, the treatment you've received. If we think about the message that came earlier with the dog card, it's like knowing that the energy has not been balanced between you and this other person in this connection. Justice here. I think there's a real, especially in this card, it's interesting that this card is the one that comes up. It's the first time using this deck in a long reading, and it's perfect because it really tells you about you having to look long and hard at yourself in the mirror and really assessing, like, is this fair to me? I think that's going to be the big question in your reading going forward, because as we said, you have a lot to give, and there's people out there that appreciate that. Five of Pentacles. This is somebody that has not received a lot. So I don't know, I feel like you're a group that in a connection you could feel like somebody's closed the door on you or pushed you away, or just the way that they're showing up is really not fair to you. Are they giving you less than all of themselves? You know what I mean? Like, when I say all of yourself, it doesn't mean that, some people take that to mean that, like, you're codependent and you have no other life outside this person. But if you're committed to a connection and growing it, it does mean having your presence there. It doesn't mean that you can't focus on other things in your life, but it just means that when you're present with that person, you're present. And when you're not there physically present, there's a sense of connection and connectivity that's maintained. Yeah, so I think that this is going to be a strong message in this group that shows this. You have to now assess, and maybe that's what you're doing, because these cards are what you're experiencing now. Let's move into how you can change for better. And you have the Ace of Cups here with the Five of Cups. So this makes me feel like you had high hopes for starting a situation, like that this situation was going to be emotionally fulfilling, but it turns out that no, it's not. And maybe you have regrets about how you approached this, how you showed up, or how you even gave your time to this. So let's look at how you can change for the better. Alright, I just said how you can change for the better, but I thought, no, it's like how you can make changes that will bring better. Because sometimes it's not that you need to change, sometimes it's that you need to just make a decision. You need to say something, and that doesn't mean you changing your core self. We have for you the Nine of Cups, the Six of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. No, remember that we're trying to manifest what we desire, which I feel for you with the Ace of Cups that we saw earlier is someone that is loyal to you, someone that is on your side. And Nine of Cups is, okay, I think first you may be somebody that is in an energy of being an overgiver or a pleaser. And I know these are like harsh words to hear sometimes, but it's something that if you acknowledge that about yourself, that's the first step. Because what this card is telling me is that you actually need to make sure that your cups are full. That's the first step. You need to make sure that you are showing up for yourself. identify what it is that would satisfy you. So for example, if it is first and foremost connection or care or feeling better about yourself, then identify the thing that you can do to fill that cup. If you haven't been taking care of yourself and focusing your energy on the external person, then now's the time to come back to self. Six of Swords here. Now then you need to assess, what do you need to do to move to a higher situation for yourself? Do you need to move away from this? Would moving away from this situation probably be better for you? Based on what I'm seeing, I see yes. That's always hard, especially if you connect that person to certain needs that you have. But if you moved away from this person, would you open up the door for new? And that's exactly what the Page of Pentacles is showing here, is that moving ahead, you, with the idea now that you're not going to approach things the same way, you always have to make sure your cup is filled, make sure that that person actually is in a reciprocal energy that's balanced. That's learning how to do things new. That's learning how to approach life in a new way, relationships in a new way, where you can actually over time bring into your sphere this thing that you want, this manifesting of someone who is yours. Yeah, I don't know how else to say that, but that just seems like a good place for us to kind of wrap up. I want this to be like clear, sharp, and practical, and I'm hoping that this got you here. So if you're in the group Hound, and check out the cat group, because I feel like this is like a counterpart energy. Not necessarily, it's like an opposite energy. It's like a polarity. That's the word I'm looking for. The person who is in a cat group is very opposite, very different from you. This could be actually a pairing of two people that or just an insight into how somebody else functions could be useful to view that reading. All right, guys, this is your reading. If you like this and you had further insights on this, please do put it in the comments, and do like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you here on another of these readings. So take care, all the best.